All right. Good afternoon or good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 20th edition of Success Spotlight, or our September edition here in 2025. Today, we've got a great guest lined up, and let me say, this is our second highest registered Success Spotlight, and what a milestone this is for the 20th, and there's no better person to, of course, be here with us today for that type of turnout than Dan Kitajima. So Dan spent 17 years with farmers and recently moved independent here back in May of 2025. With a staff of 48 total employees, with 23 of them working in the office. His goal, of course, is to get to 60 at some point with a lot more sales traffic there in the office. But that team now is producing $1 million in premium a month with over 500 policies in addition to that. And what Dan and his team attribute that to is a strong marketing system, a proven sales training framework, and of course, a unique recruiting pipeline. So truly combining that old school hustle with the new school tech strategy. So Dan, I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your enormously busy schedule to be with us here for the next 45 minutes. I appreciate it, and welcome to Success Spotlight.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Nolan. It's always great to be able to communicate with you and the IdealTraits team. You guys have been a game changer for my agency. So anything I could do to be part of you guys' operation, I'm happy to be part of it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that very much, and your support and your business over the years means a ton. So as we start, really every Success Spotlight, Dan, if you just want to give a little bit of background about, your story, why you originally wanted to start an insurance agency, almost 18 years ago, and sort of what has gotten you through from then to now. If you want to tell a little bit about your background, and we'll start from there.
Yeah, sure. Well, I had a Honda Civic in college, going to Long Beach State, and I totaled it. It was completely my fault. I was a terrible driver. And I had an insurance company at that time. Well, I'll let you know, it's AAA. And that's the company my parents had. And they did a great job taking care of me. They actually, I think, overpaid. And I ended up getting a Honda Accord. So I was like, sweet, insurance works. I see the value in it. And at that time, I was selling sneakers. And I had a commission, it was a part-time job, it was a commission job selling sneakers. And at the job fair at Long Beach State, there was AAA there. They happened to be AAA. I was like, hey, I like this company. They took care of me. I went up there. It was like, hey, we're looking for sales agents. And I was like, perfect. All I knew coming out of college, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be in a commission-based position because I made commission while I was in college. So I got my job there, and I was a call center, 3 years there. Fresh out of coming out of college, I was able to make money, and it didn't work out after 3 years. And part of it, I'll take accountability there too as well. Learning humility and things like that, and compliance is important. And my dad was an entrepreneur, and at that time, I was like, hey, you know what? I found out that you could have your own insurance agency, and I started looking for carriers to represent. And at that time, Farmers was the most aggressive. It was the easiest to get started. Day one, I was already an insurance agency owner, and I started with Farmers. And 17 years later, I'm still an agency owner, so still the Dan Kitajima Insurance Agency. So I'm still doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And with the staff of, over 45, you must be doing something right, especially with the premium that's being brought in. So that's an awesome story, obviously, and understanding sort of the value of something can come in very unique ways at certain points, right? And your story is, of course, a perfect example of that. Now, of course, your agency, since starting it, again, almost 18 years ago, has gotten to a point where, again, you have the staff that you have now and the premium that you're bringing in a month. So when building out that sort of recruiting framework, I mean, what is, when it comes to creating a job ad, that usually, of course, the starting point in any recruiting process, how did you determine what needs to be there in order for you to create an attractive opportunity for good qualified people that can produce the type of premium that your agency is producing today?
Yeah, so I think when I worked at AAA, I sort of understood like what good producers are worth. So I started wanting to work from the top. Like, okay, if I had a great producer, this company is paying this person this much amount.
Yeah.
So I've always strived like, okay, my top producer should be making a certain amount. So even before when I was doing that, I was like, hey, this job will pay this much. And then it's a lot better when I can say now that, hey, a top producer is making this much. And to recruit those type of sales agents, I think that's one thing I want to be transparent about is like, hey, you could make this much, or people are making this much. This is the range here. The top is this, the middle is this. And so I think just letting them know straight out, like, this is what I expect people to make, like, and what can be made. That is something that I like to put way near the top.
Yeah. And I mean, that transparency, it really helps just candidates see themselves in the position, not just for a year, but I'm sure long term, right? As you sort of talk to them about, what top performers are making and where they can be when they put the work in, and of course, spend time at your office. So that's great. Again, being transparent with the compensation at the top of the list allows people to see. And from a candidate perspective, if we were to go apply for jobs tomorrow, the things we'd probably care about most would be compensation, benefits, and whether the job ad is remote. Right. So
Yep.
Sounds like you've put together the job ads with that framework to be able to create an attractive opportunity. No?
Yeah. That's great that you mentioned those other two things. But yeah, what they care about, just put it near the top. Don't put it in the bottom, because people have shorter attention spans.
For sure. Yeah. I think Indeed says about 13 seconds is what a candidate gives to a job ad. So it's certainly quick. But all right, cool. So once you've created sort of that job ad, and of course you really have to have the plan first. So you knew that you were going to have that conversation with the candidates, you put it into words on the job ad, but then how do you know when the right time to hire is for either a salesperson or a customer service representative? Have you found that there is a time to do it based off of the numbers, or is it always look for good talent, or is it to wait till you need someone? What have you found is the answer for you, Dan?
Well, for sales agents, it's practically always for our
Yeah.
agency, especially right now, as we're kind of starting from the beginning, as we're building up our clientele. Sales agents is a continuous thing. You can never have too much. I feel like, depending on what your marketing source is, but if you have a scalable marketing system, then the biggest problem is just if you have, how can you recruit and train staff, sales agents? The customer service side, I look at it as like, okay, well, how many voicemails are we getting? How many missed calls are we getting? And I hate those. So if you're getting any of those, if you're having any schedule issues, like we're open to a certain time, we're open on Saturdays and things like that. So like, are we having troubles filling in the spots there? So availability for our clients, we promise them we're going to provide them the best customer service. So if you're missing any type of, like, if you get one voicemail a day, then it's like, we need a new customer service rep.
Sure.
So I wish I had more of a formula. That's something I was working with, is like, how many policies, how many customers, and how many CSRs we need.
Yeah.
That's something I'm working on. So I wish I had a better answer. The sales side too, it just depends on the agency situation and how aggressive you want to be. But the way I look at it is, you always want to keep looking, and the more you look at, the better candidates you're gonna find. So you really don't want to be in a situation where you're just talking to one person or two people and hiring one of them. You want to be talking to like multiple people and only hiring one out of 5 or even 10. Then you're like really getting better candidates that's joining your team. So it takes a lot of work, but for that reason, you always want to be doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's great advice. A lot of duplicate advice there. We heard Bo Vincent talk about hiring candidates that you want versus candidates that you need. We heard Brian Scott talk about hiring in multiples. Seems like the same way saying the same thing a different way, right? In terms of making sure that you have options, so then you don't really back yourself into a corner, which is fantastic. And I think the more options, the better when it comes to it. But Dan, we did receive our first question here from David. He says, how many sales agents do you have currently, and what are the activity expectations for those folks?
Yeah, we have 23 licensed agents, all in-house here. And the expectations is for them to do 5 quotes per day. So 5 quotes meaning 5 new people per day, like not follow-ups, or not, 5 brand new conversations where you actually present the price and you actually go for the close too. They have to be on the phones at least 2.5 hours per day. And those are the expectations for activity-wise. We'd like them to get two sales per day too. So we call it a win the day ratio. So if you get 2 sales, you already automatically won the day. But if you don't get 2 sales, then you have to do 5 quotes and be on the phone 2.5 hours.
5 quotes, 2.5 hours, or 2 sales. But sure the perfect world is they get all three of them achieved, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
or
yesterday multiple agents were on the phone over 5 hours. We had a really busy day, and agents did 17 quotes yesterday too. So
yeah,
it's definitely possible. Then if they go a certain amount of days without wins, then they have redirection meetings. So we really want to not have bad behavior continue on for more than 3 days. So they'll have a redirection meeting with the agency manager as soon as it gets to 3 days in a row where they don't hit those expectations.
yeah, for sure. Got it. And Dan, I told you that this is going to be a lot of questions are going to come in, and living up to that expectation is two more funneled in.
Oh, awesome.
So Britt says, just to clarify, are you still with farmers or have you switched? So switch to independent, but Dan, if there's anything else that you want to add on there, please feel free. And then Daniel says, does your sales team use a script?
Yeah, well, I did resign from Farmers May 1st. I have a lot of gratitude with the company. It taught me everything as a business owner that I know now. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Farmers. It helped me raise my children, so I just have a lot of yeah, I just have a lot of love for the company, everybody there. That's the one thing I'll miss the most. Scripts, yeah, definitely scripts. I mean, that is something that is key, to onboarding new staff members. You just can't hire them, give them leads, and expect them to be great at sales. So we provide training, and the script is something that we role play. We have sales trainers that role play. Each sales trainer has about 8 agents, and they role play that every morning. They listen to the calls, they transcribe the calls, they work on the tonality, and they find. So yeah, a script is a, a, a must when it comes to having closing ratio that is predictable. You don't want somebody at the 30s and some people at the 3%. It's like there's something's wrong there. But if you have a script or at least a talk path, then that's going to help you get more consistent results from your sales agents.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You don't want it to just be loose-ended, right? Because that's when people can get into the weeds, and it can get complicated. And then again, you have varying numbers, like you had mentioned, right? Where some people at 3%, some people at 20. All right, makes total sense. Ricky Brito, shout out Ricky, man. He just said this is great.
Hey, Ricky.
A good compliment.
How you doing?
Ricky, miss you, man. We got to get together soon, maybe out in Vegas or something. And then we got another question here. How do you find the leads? Which is a good question there. So that
My marketing is just two ways. It's Facebook and Google.
There you go. All right. Any lead vendors that you use now, Dan, or no?
No, that's been this way for almost 6, 7, 8 years now.
Yeah, there you go. Search engine optimization, social media, two weapons that you can use that maybe you're not utilizing now that can become such a good asset for you. But all right, cool. So that's all the questions we have or we got some more questions, but let's pause on the audience questions and then let's go back to sort of what we were talking about for just a second, Dan, which is, obviously you've got the job ad created, you've gone through that, and you're posting job ads through IdealTraits. And I took a look. You've got 2 job ads in there now. One of them's got like 35 applications to a sales producer one. The other one's got over 100 applications for more of a customer service focused role. But anything outside of IdealTraits that you're doing in order to generate candidate traffic, right? You just spoke of the importance of generating leads through Facebook and Google. So are you using social media at all in your recruiting or anything unique within the referral landscape that you'd want to mention too?
Yeah, 2 things there. So I do run social media ads for recruiting, and that's just Facebook. So letting people know they can see the office, and it's a great way to let people know what our agency is besides just looking at a copy. So you can just see the pictures, they can see me, they can see the staff. It's almost like testimonials of my staff saying what it's like working here. So Facebook ads work well with recruiting, but the other thing that works even better than that, and is really the game changer when it comes to how we have qualified candidates coming in the door, and our success with recruiting this year has been employee referrals. And with employee referrals, if you don't mind, Nolan, going a little bit deeper on this,
Sure. Yeah, please.
the best way to incentivize or change employee behavior, like you want to refer from an employer for staff, like that's so great because they believe in that person. A lot of times they're in the industry already. You have a little bit more trust in them because you're just hiring from an imperfect world. and at least that your current staff believes in your core principles and they feel like this person would be a good fit. That's great. Also, the referral person is also already hearing about from firsthand, like, hey, I'm making this much, this is the culture here. So there's mutual trust. So the employee referrals are just, it's almost all our hires this year. But the way to get employee referrals, I was thinking, like, how can I get more employee referrals? And it used to be like I'll pay like $1,000 per referral, or like I'll go up to like 2,500 at times, and sometimes they wouldn't work out and things like that. So I came up with a system or compensation plan basically, and I got it from some MLMs. Inspiration is from these life insurance companies. But
Sure.
basically, if you refer me somebody, then I'm going to increase your commission percentage. And for top performers, that's a pretty big deal. And that's not like a one-time thing. That's for as long as that person you referred me is working at our agency. And
Mm,
that really makes them more invested in, like, hey, let me not only refer them, but also retain them and help them become successful, because they'll do well as well. And some of them have referred multiple people, and those referrals have referred me multiple people. And that's just kind of how our agency has grown. Um, and yeah, one person that we hired has referred me, and this person used to work at a large call center. And I
mm,
kind of feel bad telling this story because we've now hired like 4 people from this uh, uh, call center, but this has happened to me in the past.
yeah.
So, it, it kind of goes back and forth. I've lost one person left, and then that person took away, people from my agency, all in
Yeah.
a span of 1 month. That was a brutal month. But so, yeah, it's a great way where people with experience, they already have industry knowledge, they already are licensed. And the first day, we just practice the script, practice our script and our CRM. The second day, they're already writing policies. So
Mhm.
it's been a great game changer. One guy that it was a referral, he wrote over 100K, over 40 policies in his very first full month. And these hires are just absolute game changers for our agency, and that's what makes me very excited about. It used to be where I would hire somebody, there'll be a CSR, 6 months, get him a license, and the process would take so long for them to become producing agent. So I've
Yeah.
really made a big difference of being able to find licensed agents. The best way to find them is your own staff members.
Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, generally when I talk to agents too, they'll say, the problem with the referrals is that the well can sometimes run dry. And I think that everybody's been in there at some position, right? But what you had just described is an incredibly unique and new way to sort of reinvigorate that process, right? To have really your greatest reference provide you referrals for new employees, right? And I think if we surveyed all 200 people that have registered for today's session and say, what's your preferred way to hire? Job boards, social media, or referrals? I think 95% would say referrals, I think, right? So then at that point, creating a plan like that allows it to happen. But I think it's important to note too that you're using social media and the job boards in addition to that referral program, and not just put all your eggs in one of those baskets, right?
Yeah.
Which probably has led to a more diverse candidate pool in terms of I'm getting referrals, I'm getting people I've never talked to before, and then maybe some folks I've interacted before that follow my social media. But have you found that it produces, obviously gives you just more options in general, but a more diverse candidate pool too as well?
Yeah, just more the better, and that's where IdealTraits is the game changer there, because even if it's a natural referral or employee referral or from social media or from job boards, you just aren't gonna be able to understand what they're really like or what role is better, because other than the sales agent, we have customer service, we have marketers, we have sales trainers, we have administrative assistant, we have compliance. These are such different personalities.
Mhm.
Some we talked to a guy who's like, I just love making calls. I like making 300 calls. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like that's that. You don't find that. And another person's like, I just love making sure the VIN number matches the application with and then like auditing the policies, and that it's like everybody's so different. That's where IdealTraits really helps me understand what role we know almost better than them, what role they should be at our agency. So when you're hiring for multiple positions, but if you're looking for a certain position too, let's say for sales, it just helps us do the screening there and just get to a point where, okay, let's move them on to the next stage or not.
Sure.
So when you want to talk to a lot of people, that's where IdealTraits really helps.
Yeah, makes total sense. And then, in terms of the assessment, of course, helping, in the vein of helping you understand folks, do you have personalities that this program knows for people that have, of course, attended before, that the persistent is the best sales personality? Dan, I say that because my personality result is a persistent. So yes, we are going to be biased on this show, but nonetheless, all kidding aside, like for you, for your sales agents, do you have personalities that you go after, or do you use the assessment as more of like, okay, I understand this person a little bit more. Let's interview them, give them a shot, and see, where they could fit? Because I know that there's a couple of different schools of thought there.
Yeah, no, I make it a huge deal.
Yeah.
If it's not certain traits, then we just won't push them to the next stage. And we do look at the motivation score too, the motivation to persuasion scores too, for the sales position in particular. So it's not only just the traits, but also those particular scores. And what I've been doing recently is I have like a little project on ChatGPT, and I just highlight, I just copy and paste the resume, I download it, and the scores and everything, the short answers and everything, and then it knows my job description really well. And then it just says like, hey, this is a good fit for you, or like, these are the questions you want to ask for. Helps me prepare for interviews pretty well too. So I kind of use all the data I get from IdealTraits, dump into ChatGPT, and have like a whole plan of a good understanding of that person.
Yeah.
And gives me like a summary of what questions I should look out for. And that has helped me as well.
Yeah, that's a great use of AI. Of course, if you're not using ChatGPT as a part of your process, this is a good, day to start. Right. And as Dan has given you, of course, a good reason and a way to be able to do it. But all right, perfect. And then for your interview process, anything unique that transpires there once you've got a good resume, good assessment results, anything unique that transpires within your interviewing process? Of course, we've heard people doing role plays of fake bike companies, taking people to dinner, doing all these different things that we've heard throughout the 19 sessions we've done previously. But anything that's unique for you within your interview process that you find works best?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, right now, I only do 3 things, and I advise, I recommend agents not have too many things on your plate. So one of them is actually recruiting. The second one is marketing, and the third one is carrier relationships. That's how important recruiting is for me. Depending on the position, for HQ for our headquarters, for our in-house sales agents, I do it all still at this point. Like, that's how important it is for me. I think it's one of the most important decisions you make. Now, for the VAs, for customer service and all that, we have another person that takes care of all that side. And the process is a little different for either one. So the VA side, since we have just so many applicants, we just send them straight to the assessment and say, hey, take the assessment first, and then we'll go from there, because it's like, it's just too many people to choose from. And then if it looks good for the position, then, my recruiting manager will actually do a video interview, and then do a role play, and then send it over to our agency manager, and then we'll send it over to me. So that's the process there. The role play is very important, especially for like outbound calls or customer service. The role play is super important. I highly recommend everybody doing that. For HQ sales, since there isn't as many licensed applicants applying, if there is one, then I would just send them a calendar link by text. And this is all through my CRM. Everything should be done through the CRM Calendarly, by the way. But just like how you treat a lead, you just want to just have automated responses. So if I get something, then it goes in my CRM. They send a calendar link. If I just update the CRM, then it's just like, if we get an application on our landing page, and I just send them a text message, and I just go for the video interview right away. I just want to just chat with them for a little bit, and then I tell them, hey, there's assessment. Can you please take the next step is for you to take care of that. I go over the comp plan a little bit, because HQ, well, licensed US licensed agents are hard to come by. So everyone is like very much worth my time to like really get to know them, not just like, hey, just take assessment and like, we'll get back to you. It's like, no, let me get to know you here. And then most of the time I just say, okay, now take the assessment, let me know when you're done. Once they complete that, then they'll come into the office, and that's kind of the process. But I talk about the comp plan even before I have them do the assessment, because I just don't want to act like I'm bigger than, I have. And I've actually, it's very rare, but I've actually turned down some agents that are licensed, could speak Spanish, live close to my area. And I used to never do that because they're so rare. But
Yeah.
now I'm actually like, okay, well, even if you're a referral, it may not work out because just with more people able to talk to, and the more you do it, then it's it's kind of like looking at a bunch of apartments. If you're trying to move out, like the more you see, then you find the right one. You're like, oh, that's the one I like, because you start to understand what you don't like. So the more you see, I think the better. And I think we've been very lucky. We been very fortunate of finding the right candidates this year.
Yeah, yeah. If you know what you're looking for, it makes it easier to find. That's what I like to say, right? All right,
Yeah, there
cool.
you go.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some more audience questions, Dan, because as we've gone through this, we've had 15 more that have come in. So I think where we can deliver the most value is by answering the questions that have come in from our audience. So the script that you mentioned before, did you make your own script or recommend, or yeah, did you make your own script or recommend where someone could start to create their own? Or is there a training program that you recommend that you were able to sort of absorb from as you went through the process?
I didn't make it on my own. I read The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. That book helped me prepare the script. I think it's good for you to make your own script because it's based on your clientele, your marketing, and everything like that. It should be more catered to what you offer. What type of policies too. And certain things, the script is very important, not just for like closing ratio, but for compliance reasons too. But yeah, that was it the question. Yeah, I came up with it my own, and I read the book to help me get it together. And yeah, that's a huge part of onboarding agents and helping them succeed.
Perfect. All right. David asked, how many service people do you have to service the 17 million of premium that you've accumulated? How many policies, and are they working remote or in office?
So the service staff members, well, we don't have 17 million anymore because that was with farmers. So
Yeah.
we're kind of building it back up. Right now, we have about 5,000 clients, and we have 13, 12, 11 to 13 customer service reps answering phone calls.
Perfect. All right. What sales trainers do you hire them? The sales trainers, do you hire them from within? Yeah. So do you promote the sales trainers or do you hire those people and have them just start as sales trainers?
I have them start as sales trainers. Okay, because one of the things with sales trainers, they don't have to be licensed to be sales trainers. Okay, so if you're licensed, then I want you to be selling. And sales trainers, they could be from different country. So the sales trainers, that's their only job. They use AI, transcribe the calls, listen to the calls, chop parts of the script. Hey, this part, let's listen to. We want to have them listen to their calls together, not the whole conversation, but like, hey, this part here, hey, the way you asked for the close, let's listen to this, and they'll listen to it, and they'll like, yeah, that didn't sound good. It's like, okay, let's try that part again. So it's all about role playing, but only role playing the specific part of the script have they need help with. Okay, hey, say that a little bit slower. Like, can you sound a little bit more curious? Like, can you sound like you care a little bit more? And it could be the intro. In any part of the script, we have the intro, um, info gathering, coverage, asking for the sale. So, and then we have data, and AI does a great job of just grading those calls too. So we know each agent which part of the script they're weak at, and we just practice that part till they get better.
Excellent. Perfect. What's your Noor wants to know what's your budget for marketing campaigns? I know we talked about Facebook and Google. Do you have a specific budget that you use for either of those or in total?
Yeah, right now it's about 40K a month. Which is I'm pretty happy with. I'm willing to go higher. The That's not the problem that I have. The constraint that I have is not the marketing. The constraint I have is how many producers can I find and train and get to a point that they're good. So I want to spend more, really, because it's better for the long term outlook for the agency. The bigger challenge is finding people and training them.
Yeah, 100%. All right, very cool. So Carla Ramirez, she has 2 questions. She said, hi, and love Dan, by the way. So that's the
Hey,
first
Carla.
one. Carla, big fan. And then she
Yeah.
asked if you're comfortable with sharing this, Dan, is the starting salaries for producers and commissions and whether or not you pay on renewals.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, it's great that Carla is such a great agent and is asking me questions. So there's a lot we could learn from her, and I have personally learned from her. But yeah, the base pay is $18 per hour. Okay, you get that no matter what. It's not a draw or anything like that. So you get that no matter what. And it's percentage off the premium, and that's tiered. So depending on what level you're at, so it really is low in the beginning, because if you're not selling 20K per month and it's 2%, then 30K and under is 4%. At 40,000, then it goes to 7%. So it's a pretty big jump there from 4 to 7%. Over 50,000 is 8%, and over 75,000 is 8.5%. And then there's also that employee referral. So some agents get a 0.5% more or a full percent more. And then in California, we also have broker fees, which is actually a pretty big part of the revenue. So agents get actually commission off of the broker fees too. So there's 3 ways to get commissions. But yeah, I always believe like a top producer should be making north of 10,000 a month, and that's something that we're able to do consistently our agency. And no renewals, so it's all new business focus. We have a whole customer service team to handle the servicing, so the agents have the option to service them or not. But I do really want them more focused on taking inbound calls and doing follow-ups and things like that. So their role is really hyper focused in just selling and not servicing, and for that reason, there's no renewal commissions.
Yep. All right, great. And then, Colin asked the same question, so paying on renewals. So Colin got that question answered for you. Jill says, I love IdealTraits. You've done an amazing job with filling my position. Great. That's awesome to hear. Jill, thanks for joining us, and happy to hear about the success you've been having so far. David asks, what job boards are you posting on?
Well, I just run it through IdealTraits, and you guys kind of do it for me. So I'm not actually like manually posting it myself, and I get enough, traffic from employee referrals and social media.
Yeah. So David, if you're using IdealTraits, your job ads will get posted to Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Google for Jobs, Talent.com, Monster, and 100 other job boards too as well. And you can post to social media, and you'll get a career page actually out of that too as well. So if you have a current account, we can, obviously help you with making sure you're maximizing all of that. If you don't, then our team, of course, can help you about the options to get started. Jill then says, you are with IdealTraits and not trying to, okay, yeah. So yeah, Jill, it's all about education here on Success Spotlight. So a large majority of the folks that are on here are current IdealTraits users. So yeah, so we're just looking to bring education and help people better use it. So appreciative to Dan for being here to do that. Any difference in salary ranges for service reps? Dan, another question from David there.
Yeah, sales is totally different. I mean, service is totally different.
Yep.
I still like to compensate them for performance, though. So we keep track of everything. So they get a base pay, and then depending on if they take a payment or if they reinstate a policy, or if they renew a policy, or if they get a 5-star review. What else do? We do sales assist. So if they like cross sell, they can't cross sell, but they send the lead that we end up, so sending a lead to our sales department that we can cross sell. So we keep track of everything, and those things add up to commission. So I think it is important for service reps to also have their own, expectations. And I don't exactly know what their metrics are that we track. I do believe it's how many calls they take. It's more about call volume than hours. How many tickets they complete, which is like how many, transactions they complete, and things like that. There's another third one, which I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it's important to have metrics for them, KPIs, and then compensating for their activity as well.
Yeah. Take the emotions out of it, right? And just make it, here's the expectation, and by the numbers, here's the expectation, and the numbers will speak for themselves, right? So very good. David has another question here. Have you experienced that through your postings in IdealTraits that you will receive candidates that are totally unrelated to the job description that you are advertising for? So I think the question is in vein of the jobs that you have posted, the unqualified candidates that will come in. How do you deal with that? Have you experienced it?
I mean, yeah, they come in, but it's kind of like sales, you just kind of mark them in your CRM as, bad lead and just move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to know, right? Like the job boards, they're the largest provider of qualified talent, but also the largest provider of unqualified talent too. Like, I think that, I think in the insurance and financial industry, it's been a second since I looked at the statistic, but I believe that the applicant to hire ratio is only 2%. So what that tells us is that there's, if you receive 100 applications, 98% of those people are not going to get the job, whether they're, not as good as the two that you hired, or they're not qualified, or they don't have the responsibilities or requirements that you're looking for, right? So I think that it's all about, like you had mentioned, it's like sales. It's treating it like a lead. Some leads are qualified, some are unqualified, but it's important for you to just make sure that you're following up and doing your due diligence to then get in front of the right one. Does that seem fair, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. And with insurance, I think we're a little spoiled because, well, if it's personal insurance, if it's auto insurance, like everybody's a qualified lead. So you're like, I'll take anybody. So depending on position too, because even if they don't have experience, this is how I used to operate. Because yes, I do believe in getting licensed agents is better. Like that's something that I've kind of went back and forth on, but through all my experience, I had to admit that being able to find a licensed agent is better.
Yeah.
But we're not all in the situation to have plenty of licensed people. I really have empathy of when you're starting off new, like you don't maybe have the ability to attract a licensed producer that will want to switch from another place to another place. You kind of have to have maybe a proven track record or social proof that certain agents are making a certain amount. So if you have to start somewhere, then even if it's not the perfect candidate, that's where IdealTraits really helps. Like they don't even know they're a sales superstar, but you have them take the assessment, even though they have absolutely no relative experience to what you're trying to the insurance business. But you could say that, hey, this person has sales potential, and that's really where the sales and the culture and the training really will make a big difference. So I don't want to. I think the IdealTraits is a great way for you guys to find non-experienced people and build them into sales superstars.
Yeah, perfect. Love that. Another question here: how do you upload the assessment to ChatGPT? Anything else from IdealTraits that you upload to AI? Do you just copy and paste, or?
I just copy and paste. Yeah. You could screenshot it and paste it, or you could just download it and paste it, or drag it in there. I would think, Nolan, just maybe give it Kevin or Jeff a heads up here. Maybe you guys could have that feature where it automatically does that for you guys. Where like you put your job description there and what you're looking for. You could even go a little bit, it's automatic prompting, and then it actually tell you like, hey, this is a great candidate, like but these are the questions you should ask, these are the concerns, because ChatGPT will do all that. I mean, I just thought of it right now.
I will say that I neither can confirm nor deny that an AI interview builder may be on the way. So,
oh yeah, you guys are way ahead of me.
Can neither confirm nor deny that. So hopefully our product team, as well as Jeremy, our president, is listening. Can again, neither confirm nor deny. But anyways, all right. Yes, maybe coming soon. But anyways, all right. So next question here. Who are your carriers as an independent agent? That question comes from Tawanda.
Well, my top 3 carriers are Kemper, Aspire. Aspire is California specific. They just moved out to Arizona just recently, and then National General. All great carriers. And yeah, I'm very thankful for them. We just recently got Progressive. Very excited about that. That's a very difficult one to get in California. All direct appointments, and there's plenty of other ones, but those are the top ones.
Yeah,
that we were currently writing with.
Excellent. What advice would you what would you advise when trying to open your business? If you were given a $20,000 loan, how would you invest it to make more or to make a return on that? That question comes from Genesee.
If I was by myself, like starting brand new, because I started as a scratch agency with no agents.
I think so. I think that's what it is. Like if you took yourself back to when you started, with all that you know now, if you were given $20,000 as a loan, what would you do to make a return on that $20,000?
Well, I think when you're new, the first thing you got to figure out is traffic and conversion. So I would spend all that money on leads and try to sell them myself. Like,
Yeah.
understand, okay, if I buy leads, if I could close them or not. Because I wouldn't want you to spend that money on hiring somebody, because you want to know this lead you could sell this way first, and then you could duplicate yourself by hiring somebody. So first you got to know what you're doing. So I will buy all the leads possible. I will try out different, lead sources, figure out how I could get traffic in, because without traffic, without leads, you just don't have a business. So I will test and improve my sales skills with that money, and then with the revenue that you're bringing in from those sales, then train somebody to do what you're doing there.
Mhm. Perfect. All right. Awesome. Any specific personalities that you look for service roles? That question comes from Tony.
Yeah, nurturers. Um, so some of the sales roles, like consistent, persistent, those work really well. Networkers are still good too. Um, which ones are there? You know, e- even I've had a planner that's doing well right now. And one of them was a closer, and she's doing good too. Sales leader who actually became our leader too. So I I do there's some sales involved in customer service too. There definitely is.
Yeah.
So I but I really just put it into ChatGPT, and they tell me like, hey, this person would be great for your role here. So but those are the the ones that have done really well. Obviously, for sales, closers, persistent, sales leaders, um, um, networkers too. Okay, certain ones you got to really look at the motivation score.
Yeah.
So if they're like, okay, I wish there was a closer, or but what's their motivation? What's their persuasion? Those are
Yeah.
the things that look. Customer service also, I think the compliant and the structure, those are pretty important things too. So I
Yes.
look at those things. So I really look at that each one a little bit separately than just the overall, like the label that they get.
Yeah. Makes total sense. And yeah, if you need help taking a look at the assessment, obviously Dan's been using it for a while, right? But if you need some help with, using it better, check out our assessment workshop. It'll be 2 weeks from today. So keep an eye out for those emails as they come out. This question is, when posting your job ads through IdealTraits, do you use any budget to sponsor your job ads? Great question. Something we normally cover, so I appreciate it being asked.
Yeah, no, I don't. Is that something that you've seen agents have success with, Nolan?
Yeah, sponsorship is a good thing to do, right? And it can be used in a couple of different ways. So if you're posting a job ad that's a commissioned only role, then sponsorship is required. So doing that to making sure you allocate that budget. If you take a look at how many applications you received to this point, and you're like, man, I really wish I had another 20 or 30 applications coming in. Sponsorship is a way for you to be able to do this in a very affordable way. I met with an agent who is in Missouri earlier today, and his recommended budget through Indeed was $46 for 45 applications. So it's a really affordable way for you to be able to get in front of applicants faster. I know we've covered this on past sessions before, but if you haven't sponsored your job ad or haven't created an Indeed account before, you are eligible for a $100 credit. So I am going to put that in the chat too for you guys, which again, we segue to a really good conversation. Indeed, I'll put it in here as the Indeed $100 credit. So then for those of you that haven't had an Indeed account before, you can go through that form. You can take advantage of that promotion that Indeed has running. And then also too, next week. So you guys should see that Brandy's been doing our webinars, talking about polls, talking about workflows, texting, all these different features that are new to IdealTraits in the last year or so, that a lot of them are underutilized so far, that can make your lives a lot easier. But next week's feature and focus is actually with our Indeed representative. So if you have questions for Indeed, want to better understand how their algorithms and their systems work when your job ads are posted, I'll put it here in the chat too as well under Indeed webinar. But yeah, I mean, sponsorship is a good thing to do. It's the way I like to describe it is it's always going to help you and never going to hurt you. It's just going to get you in front of more people. It's just going to open you up to more options to consider. And again, when we talk about hiring from a position of strength. They're hiring candidates you want versus what you need. Or as Dan had mentioned, have options, right? Don't just talk to one or two people, talk to multiple. This is just going to better your chances of finding the right person. And it's going to help you take a little bit of the emotional side out of it, right? By having more options, you can look at it from a more logical perspective with, of course, also using the assessment and other tools within IdealTraits. But yeah, if you're not getting enough applicants, sponsorship is a really good way to change that narrative within, like if you sponsor your job ad today, if you went back and looked at it Thursday or Friday, you probably have 10 to 15 resumes to look at, right? So it's a really good thing to do to help get in front of people fast. But yeah, I know that, Dan, you've have some remote job ads posted too. So I'm sure that that's helped you get in front of candidates faster as well, right? So for those listening, another way to get in front of candidates faster is to also consider remote hiring. Typically, building out a remote framework can be harder than just sponsoring your job ad for $50 for 30 days, right? But what's been your experience with remote hiring, Dan? Did you feel as if you had to do anything? Like, what do you think is most important for people that would consider hiring remotely, if that's just would help them get in front of more candidates?
Well, for remote, it's the social media too. So for remote, I've usually leveraged the social media, run job ads in different countries, and just send them straight to IdealTraits. So we have a flow that goes that way. But for your point there, I think I was just thinking about it. Just like leads or sales, like if you want to get more sales, you got to get more leads. And I feel like if you want to get more recruits, then you have to get more candidates, and both cost money. And I think that's the difference maker there. How bad do you want it? Like, are you willing to spend money on social media, on referral bonuses or referral compensation plan, or boosting things? So a lot of my conversations early on was like, hey, spend more money on leads, spend more money on leads. But for this particular one, if it's about recruiting, then spend more money on recruiting. And I think that's what is going to lead to results.
Yep. And I mean, again, Dan told a story earlier in the session that I think is important to go back to, where he hired someone, I believe it was off a referral. Dan, you said that in their first month they wrote $100,000 in premium, right? I believe that was what you had mentioned, right? So I think it's important to think, like, if I sponsored my job at $50 and I'm able to hire somebody, what would a producer that could write $100,000 for you in a month do for your agency, right? And I think oftentimes it's just knowing that it can happen, hearing it from Dan, and then knowing that it can happen for you too. It's just putting yourself out there, putting yourself in the position to succeed in that way. Michael had asked a question. I think this will be our last question. He said, I'm sorry I was late. I would like to know how many households does an account manager handle?
Well, we just have customer service reps. So, man, let's do the math here. Okay, this is estimate, but about wow. See, we're in a non-standard business, so there's a lot of servicing to do. A lot of return payments, a lot of reinstatements. So it's about 400 policies per staff members we have. So, but the thing that I go back to is that we just don't want to have any missed calls. We don't want to have any voicemails. So that's kind of the metric I use. Or if they call during business hours, we're not available, or we don't have enough people filling on the Saturdays. So I'm just thinking about the customer experience first. Do we just have enough people to service our customers? And they do take a lot more servicing, but that is the way I look at it. I wish I had more of a metric there, but I just go off feel, and I just feel off customer experience. If they're having a good experience with us, then in the long run, being a little bit overstaffed on service is going to still pay off, because the leads, we have incoming calls too. So we don't want any leads calling us and nobody picking up either, because those are the best type of leads too. Mm-hmm. So having people be able to answer your phone calls, answer text messages right away, it's really important for me that we're there for our customers.
Yeah, perfect. All right, cool. Well, Dan, the last question I have for you that we end every Success Spotlight episode with is, what's the one piece of advice you would give to the folks listening here that they should start implementing within their recruiting process if they're not already, starting today?
Well, I think we talked a lot about employee referrals, how that's so important.
Yeah.
So I would say take care of your current ones the best you can. The staff members you have, sometimes we're always looking for the new ones, but you forget the ones you already have. and showing them gratitude and taking care of them, making sure they have all the leads, all the training, giving them zero excuse of not being able to win in this business. And if you do truly everything you can to help them, then they'll see your intent, they'll see the results, their results, they'll see their paychecks, and then they'll say, hey, I care about my sister, I care about, my spouse, which has happened here. I want them to have the same experience too. And that would open up getting more referrals for you. So we really focus a lot on finding new people, but the one piece of advice would be is to try your best to take care of your current people.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's a really good one. Hiring good people is only as good as long as you can keep them, right? Like there's literally no point in hiring good qualified people if you can't keep them. So I think that's a really good message and really important. And oftentimes I agree with you, is very overlooked. Dan, I appreciate you again for joining and sharing a lot of wisdom. I know that when we were talking during our prep meeting yesterday and 15 minutes before we started today's session, one of the things you said several times was, hey, we need to figure out how to just bring the most value to the people that are there, right? And I think that we did that. We had over 30 questions that were submitted, and a large portion of the session was answering those. So I'm glad that for all of you that attended, we're here to ask questions, and hopefully we're able to deliver good answers that can help you start improving your hiring process starting today and moving forward. So as always, anything that you need from us here at IdealTraits, if you're struggling to get applicants, if you need help understanding more about the assessment, if you want to be better about using texting or video interviewing or workflows, or interested in starting our new employee retention program within Pulse, please reach out to us, let us know. That's why we do these sessions, again, for education, right? So, and also too, this is a milestone for us. Again, this is the second largest attended Success Spotlights since we've been doing it 20 months ago, almost 2 years. So a milestone for us. I think it's important for me to take a second to thank all of you too, right? Because we wouldn't continue doing these sessions if you weren't interested in registering and learning from experts within the hiring field like Dan and all the guests that we've had so far. So it is a pleasure of mine to host sessions like this, to bring education to you all and to be able to sit with, legends in the business like Dan. So Dan, I thank you again. And for everybody attending and that registered, I thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. If you need anything, please let us know. But thank you again, Dan, for being here. And we'll see you next month for our 21st edition of Success Spotlight. Take care, everybody. We'll see you.